The night the palace gates opened on their own, we knew the spirits had come for the king. The guards swore they had locked them. No wind blew, no footsteps approached. Yet we all stood there, frozen as the heavy wooden doors groaned and swung apart slowly. Deliberately, like unseen hands were welcoming something inside. That was the night the kingdom fell. King Ezedike was a ruler of unmatched power. His kingdom stretched far beyond the hills of the east, and his name alone sent enemies trembling. He had warriors, riches, and a land blessed by the gods. But power made him blind. For years, the chief priest guided him, warning him of dangers beyond the reach of the human eyes. The spirit spoke through the priest, revealing hidden truths and coming storms. But the king had grown tired of listening. The spirits are watching, the priest warned. Your throne is shaking. Ezedike laughed. Who dares challenge me? Who dares take my throne? It started with a woman, Olachi. She was not like the women of our land. Her spirit was smooth like river stones. Her voice soft as the wind beyond a storm. No one knew where she came from, and she never spoke of her past. The villagers whispered, she walks like she is floating. Her eyes, they never drink enough. She is not one of us, the chief priest warned the king. She is not what she seems. Do not take her as your wife. But the king waved him off. You are an old fool. I am the lion of this land, and no woman or spirit can bring me down. And so, Olachi became his second wife. That was when the darkness began. At first, nothing seemed wrong. The king spent his days with Olachi, forgetting his second wife Nkem and their children. The palace halls grew quiet. The servants moved like ghosts, speaking in hushed whispers. Then the night changed. The air in the palace grew heavy, thick with something unseen. Shadows stretched where no light should have been. Servants heard whispers in empty hallways, footsteps in locked rooms. Then the first wife disappeared. One morning, the maids went to Nkem's chamber. The doors were open. Her bed was untouched. Her wrappers and jewelry remained, but she was gone. The king did not ask questions. He did not send warriors to search for her. It was as if she had never existed. That was when we knew Olachi was not ordinary. The chief priest returned. Send her away, he warned. She is a curse on this land. The gods will not protect you if you keep her. But the king, once mighty, now a man drowning in her spell, shouted, I will never send her away. And so the spirits turned their backs on him. First, the crops, rooted overnight. The rivers that had always flowed, feeding the people, dried up into cracked earth. The cattle, once fat and strong, collapsed in the fields. Their eyes open but empty. Then the warriors, men who had once stood unshaken in the battle, began to weaken. Their skin turned pale, their bodies frail. They coughed blood, their strength leaving them like mist in the morning sun. The people were afraid. One by one they left. The farmers, the traders, even the palace servants freed in the night, leaving their pots and clothes behind. And still, the king refused to send Olachi away. The king was no longer himself. His body shriveled, his eyes hollow. He no longer sat on his throne. He no longer ruled. He wandered the palace halls at night, whispering Olashi's name. The guards heard him weeping in the dark. Some swore they saw shadows moving beside him. Others said he spoke to people who were not there. Then one night, the palace doors opened. No hands touched them, no wind blew, but they creaked apart, as if something had arrived. The king screamed. The guards ran to his chambers, but what they found chilled their bones. Ezedike was crawling on the floor, his royal robes in tatters. His nails crawled at the ground. His mouth foamed. His eyes, once sharp like a lion's, were wide, empty. He muttered over and over, "She is here, she is here." But Olashi was nowhere to be found. Or maybe she had never truly left. By morning, the kingdom was gone. The people had abandoned it. The palace was empty. The great walls cracked and crumbled. The land itself refused to belong to him anymore. No one knows what happened to the king. Some say Olachi came back for him, taking him to the spirit world, where he wanders, lost, forever searching for her. Others say the gods turned him into a shadow, cursed to roam the realms of his own palace. But all I know is this: where the mighty kingdom of Ezedike once stood, there is nothing but silence now. The trees grow twisted, the rivers refuse to flow. The land never healed, and at night, if you dare to go near the rooms, you will hear it. The sound of the palace doors slowly creaking open, welcoming something unseen.